محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر. هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر. هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد. إرم ذات العماد. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بآد. إرم ذات العماد. التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد. وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد. وفرعون ذي الأوتاد. الذين طغوا في البلاد. فأكثروا فيها الفساد. فصب عليهم ربك سوط عذاب. إن ربك لبالمرصاد. فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه فيقول ربي أكرمن فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي وادخلي جنتي. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد. أزور سيدي ومعتمدي ورجائي، ذخري وذخيرتي في آخرتي ودنياي، أبي عبد الله الحسين، زيارة مني ونيابة عن والدي وعن جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات، قربة إلى الله تعالى. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد صلى الله عليه وآله حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي. وقلبي لقلبكم سير وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله، بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله. لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل السماوات والأرض. فلعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتهيأت لقتالك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. قصدت حرمك وأتيت إلى مشهدك، أسأل الله بالشأن الذي لك عنده وبالمحل الذي لك لدي أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد، وأن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت، وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا، ورحمة الله وبركاته. وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبي الله نعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ خلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين، حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، روحي وأرواحنا العالمين له الفداء. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت، وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم من بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة القربى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. قدم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين عليه السلام. Once again, I offer my condolences to the Imam of our time. May Allah hasten his return. And to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, who are remembering Hussein and mourning for him these days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in chapter 42, in chapter 42, in ayah number 23, Surah Shura, ayah 23, He commands His messenger and He tells him to tell people, I am not asking you for any reward or for any payment for the message that I have brought you, except for the love of my kin, my Ahlul Bayt, my family. We say that this love is real. This is not just to express it in words and say, I love you. Or yes, I love the Prophet and his family. This love is real. We have to show our love. And we give examples in our normal daily life. When we say someone that I love you, we show our love. When the person loses a loved one, we go and we show ourselves physically, we sympathize with the person, we keep sad, even we wear dark. This is to show my sympathy that, look, I love you. What is going on with you goes on with me as well. When the person is happy, we go express and show our happiness. We wear bright. We go and we try to be joyous. So the love in the ayah, mawadda, is real. We have to show our love. It's not enough just to say that I love. And this is the key ayah or the key word in our discussion and talk. There are questions and answers that needs to be looked at deeply and needs to be analyzed. That is about this tragedy. We raised one of them and we answered it. And just to summarize it, we said that what is the reason, what is the dalil, the reason that our trainers, our imams, our holy saints, that they have advised us to keep alive this event? What is the reason behind it? What is the reason for our crying and mourning? Why do we cry and mourn and beat ourselves for Hussein? Don't we believe that Hussein is in heaven with his companion, with all those that they were with him? Don't we believe that Hussein is at ease and peace in heaven? Don't we believe that what Hussein did was the right thing? Don't we believe that Hussein was following the truth, the haqq? Yes, we believe that. On top of that, don't we believe that the enemies of Hussein, they are in hell? That they are being tortured? Don't we believe that the enemy of Hussein were on the wrong side? Yeah, we believe that. So we believe that Hussein is in heaven. He did the right thing. He's in a good place. Shouldn't we be happy? Or should we be sad? What is the reason for our sadness? What is the reason for our mourning, for our crying? And we answered. We say to the question that the reason why our imams, our holy saints, our trainers, our teachers, our elders, our scholars, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, these were the imams immediately after Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Sajjad was Imam Hussein's son. He was in Karbala. He was 23, 24. His son, Imam Baqir, the fifth imam of us, he was only 4 or 5 years old. He was in Karbala. On top of that, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, they all have emphasized and they have advised us to keep this event alive. What was one of the reasons behind it? The answer was that this was a holy movement. This uprise of Hussein was a holy one. In history, there were a lot of movements, a lot of uprises. They were great, they were big. When we read history about Napoleon, where all these revolutions, French Revolution, world wars, these were very, very great uprises, great wars. Millions of people were involved. Lots of countries were involved. These were great. But what distinguishes these great uprises in history with the movement of Hussein was that Hussein's movement was holy, but the other uprises were not holy. There might have been some reasons behind those uprises that would make it holy a little bit, but it wasn't all holy. So number one reason why we commemorate, why we keep the event alive, why we are advised to keep it alive is because this was a holy movement. مقدس بودن قیام. The second reason why we're advised to keep this tragedy alive is that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, with what he did, he created school. He created an institution where in this institution people learn certain things. You know, when you go to a college, university, some of you have just graduated and you attend college, right? So you go and see what programs do they offer. Maybe you are a person of art. You want to go towards art. Maybe you want to do humanity. You want to see what fields of humanity the school is offering. You come to the institution of Hussein, you see what is offered. Sacrifice, loyalty, ghira, being sensitive about your family, being sensitive about your religion, being sensitive about your homeland, being sensitive about others. Hussein and his companions, they cared even for the enemy. This is ghira, this is sensitive. We're sensitive about people. We don't want people to do wrong. As a Muslim, I am not only told to pray 5 times a day, to fast once a year, to go to Hajj once in my lifetime, to give charity, to give zakat, tax. No, I'm also asked to invite people towards good and stop people from doing evil. So what is being offered in this institution, in this school that Hussein created? Sensitive, being sensitive. Another thing that the school Hussein created is teaching you is hurriya, freedom. Freedom from your desires, from your worldly desires. Be free. This is what the message of Hussein in Karbala, every time he gave lecture, he told people, if you don't have deen, if you don't believe in God, at least be free. Don't follow. Freedom doesn't mean, some people say that, if I believe in a religion and a God, I'm not free anymore. But my brother or my sister, on the other hand, you could be the slave of your own desires or the slave of some other people that they're telling you what to do. At least be free. Hussein taught freedom. This is what today everybody's after, right? Freedom, justice. Another thing that the school is teaching is justice. Another thing that is our topic these days is love. We spoke about 2 nights, 3 nights about the positive effect of love on faith. We say without love, faith is not going to be very functionable. It's not really going to function well. Faith will function. A person who is not in love with God, he will probably pray. He will fast once a year. He will go to Hajj in his lifetime. But he might not be doing it out of love. He's doing it out of duty, responsibility, out of fear. He fears that if I don't do it, I'll be punished. But there are those that they pray 5 times a day out of love, not out of responsibility. That's the higher stage of worship. This is what Hussein is teaching. In the battlefield, we said last night, right, when there's no peace, security, they don't feel safe there. There's no shelter, there's no home. It's just tents. They're thirsty, they're hungry. Their women and children are at risk. But what they do? Out of love, they pray. Out of love. Hussein, on the night of Ashura, we read the du'as that he reads. He says, نَحْمَدُهُ وَنَشْكُرَ اللَّهِ عَلَى السَّرَّاءِ وَلَا الضَّرَّاءِ. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I thank Him in good times and in bad times. This is Hussein. This is the school that teaches us love. And if I want to be a good Muslim, a good follower, I need to create that love within me. So I practice every year to increase that love within me. When I love, I will be loved. If I love Hussein, and then Hussein loves me, because when you love, you become loved, you become mahbub. When I show my love to you 1, 2, 3 days, then you start loving me too. You say, brother, you always show me your love, your care. You're a good person. Slowly, you're going to start returning. So you become mahbub. You become loved. Imagine if you start loving the God of Hussein. Hussein teaches you to love God. And then God will start loving you. This is the school that Hussein created. And this is why we're keeping alive. We're keeping the school, the teaching, the seminary, the institute, the college or the university, you can call it, alive. And we said in history, you will never find anything similar to this school. You're not going to find anyone like Hussein ibn Ali. If you find it, then we can come and raise this question that why should we do this every year? There's another holy movement, another holy person, another school similar to this, better or a little bit lower. We don't. Why do we cry? That was the first question answered. All these things that we said we answered the first question. This is why we keep it alive. Why do we cry? We don't cry because Hussein left this world. Hussein is in a good place. We don't get together to read the Fatiha for Hussein, to do a khatm of Quran. Yeah, we read Quran, we say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un and all that. We get together to cry cry of love because our soul is moved. This is in correspondence with our soul. Our soul, our ruh, becomes Husayni. It's a very small flight. We say when you fly, it's a very small flight towards the souls of those in Hussein, and our souls will turn and become Husayni souls. And if a little bit of what Hussein taught us, if that little bit of sensitivity, if I become a little bit sensitive about my family, about my religion, about my homeland, about all my values, if I become sensitive, if a little bit of hurriya of Hussein being a free man, being a man, if a little bit of that affects me, if Hussein's iman and faith affects me a little bit, it increases my iman. If Hussein's taqwa, piety, increases my piety, because I keep reading about Hussein, what he did. If Hussein's belief in God, tawheed, moves me, then this type of cry for that is worth a lot. We say in the traditions, it says that even if it is a tiny little drop of tear, the size of a wing of a fly. The fly, you see that moves around, it has tiny little wings. If it is only the size of one of the wings of the fly, that amount of tear is worth it a lot, if it is for this. Therefore, our cry, our tear, the shedding of our tear is for Hussein's greatness, for Hussein's personality. It's not for what happened. Yes, it is. We cry for the oppression that took place, the way that he was treated and the way that they martyred him. We cry for that. That breaks our heart. Hussein is creating emotions within me. He's creating love within me. So this is one of the key questions, brothers. And this is not a new question we said yesterday. We're going to move on to the second question today. We say that these are key questions about the event. And it requires analysis, deep analysis, to be looked at. These questions have been repeated throughout the history. Different, people from different walks of life and from different age groups, they have asked us, younger ones and older ones, and still they're asking. It's been recorded, answers have been recorded. There are many books about it, even about one of them, one whole book has been written. So that was number one. Another question that today we would like to emphasize is that, which is a very important question. It's a key question about the event that can occupy your mind. And that is this question, brothers. Why? It's recorded that 30,000 soldiers were gathered and organized to stand against Hussein. How many people were with Hussein? Everybody knows 72. We have this number of 72, which was a little bit more. Until the night of Ashura, there were 72 people. 72 people remained with Hussein on the night of Ashura. When Hussein turned off the light in the tent, and he asked people, look, don't be embarrassed. If you have to leave, leave. And nobody left that night. Probably before it, some people left, but that night nobody left. 72 people were with Hussein. But in the morning of Ashura, we said this and we analyzed this last year. There were some 200-something people on the side of Hussein. That time that Hussein took from the enemy not to start the war at night, he dragged it to the daylight. One of the plans that Hussein had was to affect the minds and the hearts of those people on the other side to see how many more people will come to his side. So let's say 72. Let's not be very concerned with the number. We know the number was not a lot. 70, 100, 200, okay. But why would you gather 30,000 people against 100 people? Isn't this a question that you should think about? Sometimes some people question this. Look, see, answer this question. Why in the world, when somebody has a problem with a group of people, then you drag the entire country, the entire army against like 70 people, 72 people? Why would you bring 30,000 people? It's recorded. And if so, how is it possible that you will gather 30,000 people in a matter of days? Right from the first, second day of Muharram until the seventh day of Muharram, there are negotiations. The Imam is writing letters to the heads of some of the tribes, some of his companions in Kufa. Yeah, there's a blockade. No one can come out of Kufa. Nobody can come to Karbala. Hussein is surrounded. He cannot go anywhere. But he hasn't been attacked yet. And there are thousands of people coming, and they're lining up on the other side in front of Hussein. The question is, if we believe that yes, 30,000 people came and they stood in front of Hussein, how was it possible to gather all the 30,000 people? Did they have an army? Like today, every country they have an army, they have Air Force, they have Navy and all that. How was it possible to gather all these people and bring them over there? What did Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad? Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad is the commander in Kufa, right? Yazid moved him and brought him from Basra. This guy was very cruel. He had no heart. And Yazid's pick was the right pick. If you look at the dark side of this event, if you look at the black page of this event, you know that Yazid's pick for Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was the right pick. You know, there's two sides of victory, right? Yeah, there was the victory of the darkness, the corrupt ones. That was the physical victory. But there was the victory of the heart. There was the victory, the political victory which Hussein gained with his blood. So how was it possible? This is a question. You see, I would like to cook the question very well first. Sometimes you just raise the question, but you don't really cook it well. You need to cook the question so you can really understand the importance of the question. Isn't this question a very key question? Isn't it a very important question? It is. So they have given 4 answers for this. There are 4 reasons. Why would they gather thousands of soldiers and fighters against Hussein? Number 1, it was because of the position of Hussein in his spiritual position. Hussein, everybody knew he's the grandson of the Holy Prophet. And he was very spiritual. Everybody knew Hussein is a holy person. This is not just a person. This is somebody that the entire world or the entire country will die for. He's the grandson of the Prophet. So it's not something that you can just send out 72 soldiers or 100 or 200, 300 soldiers. No. On top of that, the people who lived in Kufa and in Basra, they were fed up with Yazid. They had great hatred for Yazid and what he was doing. So there were cities like Kufa and Basra, they were fed up and they were ready to explode. Why did Hussein come to Karbala? Because these people in Kufa, they wrote him letters and letters and they invited Hussein to Karbala. 18,000 letters went to him. And did Hussein just leave Medina like that? No. He sent his cousin Muslim ibn Aqil 2 months before he leaves, 2 months before he gets to Karbala. Muslim ibn Aqil goes to Kufa, he analyzes, he goes among people, he says, yeah, that's true. Everybody wants Hussein. They're fed up with the regime and they're saying, come Hussein, you're the grandson of Rasulullah, you need to help us, support us, we will help you, you need to help us free from this man. If Hussein didn't go today in history, people would have blamed him. How come the grandson of Rasulullah, he kept silent with 18,000 people in Kufa, they invited him? How did they do that? So Hussein, one of the reasons that he is going is because he's been invited. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the commander, he's afraid of this. He knows that there are people in Kufa, there are thousands of people, if he sits quiet, they will join Hussein. First of all, he needs to block the routes. One of the examples of this to support this, when you read history, you see that when Hussein reaches Karbala, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, which is the commander of Yazid in Kufa, Kufa is very close to Karbala. You know what he does? He sends this guy named Zahr ibn Qais with 500 soldiers. He sends him to go, there were bridges that connected Kufa with Basra and with the deserts in Karbala. He sends this army of 500 soldiers with this commander, and he says to him, just watch, make sure nobody gets out of Kufa and Basra to come towards Karbala. So they block the bridges, the connecting bridges towards these two cities. Nobody could get out of these two cities. This shows that Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he needs to gather a lot of people in front of Hussein and his companions. Because otherwise, if anything goes wrong, and then if those people in Kufa and Basra, thousands of people comes to Hussein's side, you will have enough people to fight him. He had planned it well. See, this is number one. Why would you get 30,000 people against Hussein? Because there were a lot of people. They wanted to be with Hussein. He was aware of the letters and invitations. That's number one. Number two, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he knew Hussein's better than anybody else. He knew that Hussein's speech was affected. That if Hussein had a chance to directly talk with the soldiers, he would change their mind and their heart. Do we have an example? Don't we have Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, the commander of one of the army that had thousands of soldiers in it? Imam Hussein changed him. How? If anybody met Hussein, Hussein will change his mind. You see, sometimes people their speech are so effective, and that probably has to do with them being very, very purified people. You will all know the story that if you want your word to be effective, you need to do that thing that you're asking people yourself. Otherwise, if you keep asking people to do a thing and then you don't do it yourself, it will not be an effective speech. It will not be an effective advice. We have many stories in history. The Holy Prophet, we all know this, we've repeated, it's good to repeat. A father brings his son, Ya Rasulullah, he is eating too much dates. It's like today, if a father brings his son to me in the masjid, Ya Shaykh, my son plays too much tablet. Can you advise him, please? My son eats too much dates. The Prophet said, okay, go bring him tomorrow. He goes and brings him tomorrow, and then tomorrow the Prophet tells him, my son, don't be excessive, eat enough, don't eat too much, enough. The son says, Ya Rasulullah, ala ayni, on my head, chash, on my eyes. Okay, from now on, this many dates. And the father tells the Prophet, if my son loves you and you're the Prophet of God, why don't you tell them, yeah, yesterday I had to go home and bring him back today. The Prophet said, yesterday I had eaten dates myself. I will tell him the next day. That shows that if a person wants to tell people what to do, he first needs to practice it himself. Hussein was like that. Hussein is the grandson of Rasulullah. He's a man of spirit. He's a man of spirituality. If people meet Hussein, they will go to him. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad is afraid. He says, I need to have enough people that if he changes, and he's trying to block them, but he's going to have a lot of people on the other side. That in case, if he loses a few hundreds or a few thousand, he still has more. That's the second question, and we have the example for it in history. I have 5 minutes, inshallah, that we have our dear brother in Kabul ready to enlighten us with his morning, inshallah. If he hears me in Farsi ما 4 دقیقه دیگه وقت داریم برای پایان سخنرانی بنده. انشاءالله ما در خدمت جناب مداح اهل بیت حاج آقا حسین حیدری، خداوند شما را حفظ بفرماید. هستیم انشاءالله. درست 3 ساعت 4 و نیم صبح شما هست. اجر شما با امام حسین علیه السلام. بنده تا 4 دقیقه دیگه انشاءالله سخنرانی رو به پایان میرسم و در خدمت جناب عالی هستیم. آقا محمد مهدی اگر فیسبوک یوتیوب لایف هم بذاری بالا که انشاءالله حاج آقای حیدری وصل شدن ما هم بتونیم در مسجد انشاءالله مستفیض بشیم. خب the third reason why there are thousands of people against Hussein is that Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he wants to get everybody corrupted with this blood that he is going to drop, with the blood of Hussein. He knows that when this tragedy is over, when this event is over, a lot of people will complain about what happened. Because you see, Hussein is in blockade. He's blocked in the desert. No one can go him. So nobody knows what's going on. But after Hussein is martyred, after he is killed, and his companions, everything, after all this crime is done, people will find out about it. Then people will rise. People will say, who did this? Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he didn't want to be the only one so that people will come after him. He wants to get almost every tribe, almost everyone in Kufa and Basra and the entire country, he wants to get them involved in this crime. So that if they rise and they say, who did it? They say, all of you were participating in this. See, it makes logical sense for what he's doing. So the third reason is that Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he wants to get everybody involved. He wants to have the blood of Hussein on everybody's hand, so that if they complain later on to take revenge, and then they'll say, no, all of you did this too. I wasn't the only one. See, it makes very, very logical sense. And then the last one, which I only have a minute. If the number of the people on the other side wasn't many, wasn't a lot, then some people, their brain, their wisdom is in their eyes. They see, whatever they see, they judge. So people would have said that, you know what, if Hussein is wrong, how come everybody is not against him? So if there was only 200 people against Hussein and Hussein's people were 72, let's say there was an army of 500 or only 1,000 people, right? People will say, look, if Hussein is right, then how come everybody is against him? This is another question that we ask ourselves today. Why did Hussein become lonely? Why only 72 people went around him and the rest of the people left him alone? Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he wants to bring as many people in Karbala so that one day if they say that Hussein was right, people will say, well, if he was right, then how come everybody was against him? Because you know, people with their eyes, they can judge. So these are, brothers, the 4 reasons why that there were 30,000 against 72. Now, how did Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad gather these 30,000 people? Inshallah, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow night. How he did that. That's another discussion of finding the reasons how he did that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, to help us understand Hussein, his personality, his wisdom. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us become his real follower, inshallah. Allahumma ja'al awaqiba umurina khayra. Allahumma ja'alna min al-mutawakkilin. Allahumma aghfir al-mu'mineen wal-mu'minat wal-muslimeen wal-muslimat al-ahya'i minhum wal-amwat. طابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك غافر السيئات إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج وعافية والناصر وجعلنا من خير أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Okay, go ahead if you can hear me. If you can hear me, you can go ahead and switch.
They don't have internet. I just
They don't have internet?
Yeah, they lost internet in all of Kabul.
Okay.
Internet power.
It looks like that they have lost internet on the other side of the world where Qari was connecting, Haji Haydari was connecting to us. So we're not going to have him. And because I did not speak Farsi at all, and I don't know if I have Farsi audience, I can go ahead and speak a little bit in Farsi. If not, tonight I want to remember Ali Asghar, the infant baby of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Alhamdulillah that I came ready. I say just in case if Haji Haydari doesn't make it, we have something. Although I am not a professional, an expert in reading Rawza mornings, but I always try to mix it with English and Farsi because I always worry about my audience who doesn't speak Farsi. But allow me for 10 minutes, because I spoke a good 35 minutes explaining the second question that I raised to my Farsi speakers. I don't know how many of them are on Facebook Live, how many of them are on YouTube Live, and I do see some people on our Zoom account, and I know who is there speaking Farsi. So, if you recite the salawat, please, I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit in Farsi, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj. ما عرض کردیم که یک سری پرسش ها و جواب های کلیدی و تحلیلی وجود دارد در رابطه با این نهضت که باید راجع به این بحث شود، صحبت شود. یکی از اون کلیدهای، حالا اگر من وسط سخنرانی است، اگر حاجی آقای حیدری وصل شدن انشالله ما در خدمتشون هستیم. Dear brother who is controlling the panel here from California, Haji Ghai Dorani, in case any minute if they get connected to the internet and they would like to join us, please let me know. I will stop immediately because we'll want to inshallah have him. He's
going to call me if they do.
Okay, so they will call us if they do, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. Allow me to make a very short announcement before I continue with the Farsi explanation of this. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, we are going to remain closed even for the day of Ashura. This decision was made 2 hours ago, and we're really, really worried about the safety of everybody else. And when you have a very big, large event, it's very difficult to control everyone unless we have temperature controls, and we have to do we have to put lots of restrictions, and experience shows that it's very difficult. People bring their children, people still bring their elderly, and we have decided to remain closed, and we will not even serve food. Some people, they have contributed, they have donated some amounts so that we will cook the food and give it out. I'm going to return all those money to all the brothers and sisters that they have given me, and instead I'll ask them inshallah to send it overseas to their loved ones, to anybody that they know that they're in need, inshallah. Instead, this is only 1 year. We don't have this is the only year that this is happening. Inshallah, next year we will make it up for Muharram. We'll do it inshallah much more bigger. It is better inshallah to follow the procedures and guidelines so that we're all safe. But alhamdulillah, we've been blessed to have a system where we go live every day. We will have our live programs. We're on YouTube Live, we're on Facebook Live, we're on Zoom, inshallah, and everybody can reach us from home. So we had a very good Ramadan, 30 days of Ramadan online, and it was very spiritual. We followed our classes online. Alhamdulillah, we were very successful with having classes for our children. And this is the 10 days, and I'm sure that Imam Hussein alayhi salam also, he will be happy to see us that we are trying to save ourselves, inshallah. We have many years to come, and we are still, inshallah, here. We always have the hope to live for as long that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the chance to live so that we can make up our shortcomings, inshallah. So this is one thing that brothers and sisters keep in mind, inshallah. For sure, we're not even going to have an Ashura program in the center, but we won't be inshallah online. برادران و خواهران، من یک اطلاعیه‌ای رو خدمت برادران و خواهران به زبان انگلیسی عرض کردم که ما از امشب دیگر در داخل مسجد برنامه نخواهیم داشت، حتی روز عاشورا برنامه نخواهیم گرفت و همه برنامه‌های ما از طریق آنلاین برگزار میشه. داخل مسجد تنها کسی که جلو این دوربین ها میآید و میشیند و صحبت میکند بنده هست، جناب آقای ابراهیم خنافر که دعای امام حسین رو میخواند و فرزند بنده که قرآن قرائت میکنه. دیگه انشالله در این مسجد ما کسی رو فعلا اجازه نمیدیم و برنامه ها رو آنلاین اجرا میکنیم تا انشالله ببینیم چی میشه. این اولین سال است که همه جا رو میبینید. الان کشورهای اسلامی رو اگر ببینید خیلی جاها مساجد همه جاها بسته است. اگر هم کسی برنامه اجرا میکنه در فضای باز بیرون برنامه اجرا میکند و ما هم اگر بتونیم مثلا فضای باز جایی باشه که امکانش نیست، ولی خب انشاءالله میتوانیم سال آینده جبران بکنیم، یک محرم بهتری و پر جمعیت‌تر و شلوغ‌تر انشاءالله اجرا. الحمدلله دیشب خدا به ما این توفیق رو داد، ما اون برنامه‌ای رو که باید شب هفتم بود اجرا کردیم، مداح اهل بیت هم در خدمتشون بودیم. خدا رو شکر الحمدلله ما سپاسگزار هستیم. اون عده‌ای که پول نظری دادن برای غذا، بنده پولای نظریشون رو برایشون برمیگردانم انشاءالله شخصا حضوراً و انشاءالله میتوانن نظر خودشون را برای امام حسین بفرستن کشور خودشون، فقرایی که میشناسن، حتی خانواده و فامیل و دوست و آشنا، انشاءالله خداوند ازشون قبول میکنه. خب این بود اطلاعیه ما. یه صلوات دیگه مرحمت بفرمایید. صلی الله علی محمد و آل محمد. اللهم صل علی محمد و آل. خب ما گفتیم که یک سری پرسش های مهم و کلیدی وجود دارد راجع به این نهضت که ذهن ما رو مشغول میکنه. یکی از اون پرسش ها رو ما این یکی درست صحبت کردیم، من فقط پرسش رو مطرح میکنم، ما جواب دادیم. این پرسش این بود که علت توصیه به زنده نگه داشتن این نهضت چیست؟ چه دلیل وجود دارد که به ما گفتن این نهضت حسین رو زنده نگه بدارید؟ چرا ما باید گریه بکنیم؟ چرا ما باید ناراحت باشیم؟ مگر ما اعتقاد نداریم که امام حسین علیه السلام Okay, they're back. Okay, is he on? Okay, inshallah. چه ما اعتقاد داریم که امام حسین علیه السلام در بهشت است، در آسایش است، در راحتی است. ما اعتقاد داریم که دشمنان امام حسین در جهنم هستند. خب برای چی باید گریه بکنیم، زاری بکنیم؟ ما گفتیم که این گریه و زاری ما به خاطر این است که ما برای شخصیت حسین گریه میکنیم، ما برای عظمت حسین گریه میکنیم. ما این گریه‌ای که ما میکنیم این هماهنگ با روح ماست. ما اون ایثار حسین رو وقتی میبینیم، اون فداکاری حسین رو وقتی میبینیم، اون غیرت حسین رو وقتی میبینیم، آزادگیش رو میبینیم، ایمانش رو میبینیم، تقوای، این روح ما رو به حرکت در میآورد. همچین حرکت ما را به گریه و عشق شوق میاندازد. ما گفتیم شما بعضی وقت گریه میکنید، گریه از روی غم نیست. مثلا 10 سال مادرت رو ندیدی، میری 10 سال بعد فرودگاه مادرت میاد، بعد میبینی که مادرت تو رو در آغوش میگیری، گریه میکنه، میگه مادر چرا گریه میکنی؟ منو که الان میبینی. میگی فرزندم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم.
از گریه ما گریه شوقه، گریه محبت، گریه عشق. این محبت و عشق و عاطفه رو در ما زنده میکنه. باید تأثیرات گریه را هم توضیح داد. Give me a message inshallah if he is connected. I don't see him on Zoom. If I see the Haji Aghay Haydari on Zoom, please, he'll tell you, right? He's not there yet. خب پس ما گریه میکنیم. چرا؟ چون گریه ما هماهنگ با روح ماست. اگر این اشکی رو که ما میریزیم، این اشک ذره از غیرت حسین رو در ما به وجود بیاره، اگر ذره از آزادگی حسین رو، از ایمان حسین و از تقوای حسین، از توحید حسین، اگر اینها رو در ما به وجود بیاره، این اشک بی نهایت ارزش داره. در روایات اومده اگر یک قطره به اندازه بال مگس اگر شما گریه کردید این اشک خیلی ارزش داره. پس گریه ما برای این نیست که حسین از دنیا رفت. خب من دارم میبینم که حاج آقای حیدری دارن آماده میشن. اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد و عجل فرجهم. حاج آقای حیدری بفرمایید، در خدمت شما هستیم. صلوا علی محمد و علی آل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. یا رحمان یا رحیم یا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبی علی دینک. السلام علیک یا ابا عبدالله. السلام علیک یا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. از همه عزیزان، از همه دوستان که ما را روی گیرنده هایشان میبینند، صدای من حقیر میشنوند، تقاضا میکنم دستشان روی سینه و روی قلبشان از صمیم دل صدا بزنن و سلام به ارباب بدن. یقین دارم حسین آقا جواب سلام همه ما را میدهد. همه با هم السلام علی الحسین و علی علی ابن الحسین و علی اولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. فرزند علی نور خدا کیست؟ حسین است جانباز رای عشق، جانباز رای عشق و وفا کیست؟ حسین است بنوشت بر رخسار فلک با قلم خون تاج سر جمع شهدا کیست؟ حسین است معیار شکوهش به خدا کس نتوان گفت. او شافع امم در دو سران کیست؟ حسین است شافع امم در دو سران کیست؟ حسین است این نور ز زهرا و علی گشت پدیدار، محبوب محبین همه جا کیست؟ حسین است. قربان نامت بروم اربابم، آقای خوبم. در راه خدا جمله هستی با وفا داد، مردی که به دنیا زده پا کیست؟ حسین است. حریت مردی که بود اصل کرمنا، از پرچم خون کرده به پا کیست؟ حسین است. بگرفته یقین فیض درش ناصری عالم، نامی که دهد درد شفا کیست؟ حسین است. قربان نامت بروم ارباب خوبم، شب 8 محرم الحرام، سلسله ذاکرین این شب را منسوب به آقا شهزاده قاسم ابن الحسن مجتبی علیه السلام کردند. امشب شب جوانان است، امشب شب ایتام و یتیم هاست. زیاد معطلت نکنم، بیا بنگر عمو جان شور و حالم، نشسته زخم هجران روی بالم، چه غم دارم برای دین و قرآن، کند گر سم اسبان پایمالم. روز عاشورا قاسم ابن الحسن آمد نزد عموی بزرگوارش حضرت ابی عبدالله الحسین علیه السلام. فرمود عمو جان به منم اجازه بده جانم را به فدایت کنم. دست و پای عمو را بوسه میزد، صدا میزد. اینجا امام حسین علیه السلام فرمود قاسم جان تو یادگار برادرم حسن مجتبی. با چشم گریان قاسم آمد خیمه، مادرش دید قاسم زانوی غم در بغل گرفته، اشک میریزد. آخه مردم شما بهتر میدانید اونایی که یتیم از دلشان نازکه، دلشان زود میرنجه. امام حسین به قاسم اجازه نداد اما آمد وارد خیمه شد. مادرش به یاد قاسم آورد. قاسم جان پدرت بازو بندی به بازویت بسته، نوشته فرزندم هر وقت عمویت حسین در کربلا به تو اجازه نداد این بازو بند را نشان بده، پسرم هوش داری عمویت را یاری کنی. آمد مقابل عمو ایستاد، اذن جنگم بده ای جان عمو. که ز حق حکم سفر آوردم جان ناقابل خود را ببرد از پی دفع خطر آورده من که بهتر نیم از اکبر تو عمو جان که از غمش خون جگر آوردم تا دیگی اذن شهادت بر من نامه از سوی پدر آورده امام حسین علیه السلام تا چشمش به دستخط برادرش امام حسن مجتبی افتاد اشکهای امام حسین جاری شد قاسم را بغل کرد هر دو گریه کردن هم برادر زاده گریه میکنه هم عمو اشک میریزه حضرت امام حسین اجازه داد قاسم آمد میان میدان رجز خان عده‌ای را به جهنم واصل کرد جنگ سختی نمایانی در گرفت قاسم زیر سم اسپان افتاد وقتی آتش جنگ نشست امام حسین آمد بالای سر قاسم را در آغوش گرفت پاها را به زمین میسایید عمو میگفت صدا زد عزیز برادرم عز والله على عمك ان تدعوه فلا يجيبك او يجيبك ثم لا ينفعك صوته به خدا قسم بر عمویت بسیار سخته او را به یاری بطلبی و نتواند جوابت را بده یا جواب بگوید ولی بر تو نفعی نداشته باشه عمو جان گوشه چشمی که من آماده جنگم ز شوق دیدن بابا زند بر این دل تنگم یتیمم من یتیمم من یتیمم من یتیمم من سفارش های بابایم نمیگردد فراموشم که من از بهر جانبازی کفن پوشم یتیمم من یتیمم من یتیمم من یتیمم من وصیت کرده بابایم که بر دور سرت گردم یا بقیت الله یا امام زمان در این صحرا هم آغوش علی اکبرت گردم یتیمم من یتیمم من یتیمم من یتیمم من شاید زبان آل حضرت قاسم این بوده برای حفظ قرآن و بقای دین پیغمبر دلم خواهد بسانه گل شوم در راه تو پرپر. عمو جان اگه ما پرپر شویم، اگر قطع شویم، دست از تو بر نمیداریم. تو برای یاری دین خدا، تو برای یاری دین پیغمبر. آی آی ای بر قضای حق رضا، به ابل عطشان حتی قضا، به ابل محموم حتی مضا. تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا، اربعین باشیم همه کربلا. ای بر قضای حق رضا، بر قضا. ای بر قضای حق رضا، پاشیده خونت بر فضا. دریا تو را اشک عزا، یبن علی المرتضی. به ابل عطشان حتی قضا، به ابل محموم حتی مضا. تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا، اربعین باشیم همه کربلا. تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا. همه یاد بگیرن این ذکر بگن. تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا، اربعین باشیم همه کربلا. ماشاءالله همه بگن. تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا، اربعین باشیم همه کربلا. ای کشته صد پارتن، عریان و بی غسل و کفن، آیا توی حسین من یا بدر صدر المصطفى، یا بدر صدر المصطفى. به ابل عطشان حتی قضا، به ابل محموم حتی مضا. تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا، تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا، اربعین باشیم همه کربلا، اربعین باشیم همه کربلا. آی تو یار و یاور منی، آیا برادر منی، فرزند مادر منی. انت ذبیحا بالقضا، انت ذبیحا بالقضا. به ابل عطشان حتی قضا، به ابل محموم حتی مضا، به ابل محموم حتی مضا. تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا. هر کجا هستی میخوامی دست بالا کنی، خدا را به حق حسین زهرا قسم بده انشالله اربعین درا باز شود. این مرض ویروس منحوس کرونا از تمام جوامع بشری و انسانی خدا به برکت خون حسین انشالله دور و برطرف کند. میخوامی دست بالا بان شو از خدا بخوایی، تو بکن لطفی یا حسین مولا، اربعین باشیم همه کربلا، اربعین باشیم همه کربلا. صلی الله علیکم یا اهل بیت النبوه و معدن الرساله. 10 مرتبه بلند و جلی. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم وبحق فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها بعدد ما أحاط به علمه. حوائج مد نظر اونایی که مریض هستن، اونایی که مریض دارن، مشکلات دارن، زندانی دارن، گرفتاری دارن، اولاد ندارن، دردهایی دارن، به مردم گفتن نمیتوانن، به خاطر امنیت و آرامش کشور عزیزمان افغانستان، همه بلاد اسلامی، همه جوامع بشری انشالله در امنیت کامل باشند. 10 مرتبه بلند و جلی یا الله. یا الله یا رحمان یا رحیم یا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبی علی دینک. یا حامد بحق محمد، یا عالی بحق علی، یا فاطر بحق فاطمه، یا محسن بحق الحسن، یا قدیم الاحسان بحق الحسین. خدایا به حق خون گلوی امام حسین علیه السلام، به حق شهزاده امام حسن مجتبی حضرت قاسم ابن الحسن علیه السلام قسمت میدم طاعات و عبادات عزاداری ها از همه ما به لطف و کرمت خالی از ریا قبول بگردان. خدایا به همه ما توفیق اقامه عزای امام حسین در این عاشورا و محرم به همه ما لطف بفرما. حیف است در کنار مرقد علامه شهید سید اسماعیل بلخی از جوار ملکوتی هر زیارت نظرگاه ابوالفضل عباس افشار سیدو از مرکز کابل میخواییم دعا کنیم. حیف آمد یادی از علامه شهید سید اسماعیل بلخی که در این قسمت از اشعار خودش فرمودن: از زیر سمه اسپان قاسم به عروسش گفت با یاد تو خوابیدم در بستر آزادی. در دشت عراق آمد آن رهبر آزادی. روی ملکوتی علامه شهید اسماعیل بلخی، همه علمای اعلام، همه شخصیت های دینی و اسلامی در سراسر عالم انشالله از همه ما فیض ببره. ارواح اموات مؤمنین و مؤمنات، خوشنودی روح مقدس آقا امام حسین علیه السلام، یاران با وفایش. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحه مع الاخلاص والصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد و آل محمد وعجل فرجه.